Welcome back, you guys. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and welcome to the match preview of our game against Ajax tomorrow at 6 PM in the Champions League. Big game against Ajax. I feel like we can do the impossible. If you guys stay to the end, you'll hear my full thoughts and opinions. Now, of course, with how I do my match previews, I talk about the press conference, I talk about the predicted lineup, I talk about the opposition, and to end things, I talk all things tactics to break down how I see the game going and what we need to do to get the win against Ajax. Now, before I get into anything, if you do like today's video, do not forget to smash that like button, help me get more than 1,500 likes for today's video. And of course, if you have not downloaded the OneFootball app, my friends, what are you waiting for? With the upcoming game tomorrow, there's never been a better time to give the OneFootball app a go. Honestly, it's so convenient when it's a match day, so much quick access to news, stats and everything that you need. Give it a go, you guys. You'll find it in the link in the description below. Now for this part, we move on to the predicted lineup for today's video, and I'm going to break down things into two formations I feel Lampard may use in tomorrow's game. Now, to start with the first formation, I've gone for the 5-2-3. Now, the reason why I've gone for this formation was because we used the same formation against Lille in the last Champions League game. Now, there could be a lot of reasons why we may use this against Ajax. I think with how Ajax like to flood men between the lines and create numerous overloads, Lampard may feel like he wants to have extra protection at the back to help combat Ajax in the wide areas. Of course, with no N'Golo Kante, Lampard may feel like we may be a bit weaker defending between the lines, because we know that Jorginho and Korver can become susceptible to good movement and play in behind them. Playing this way means that guys like Reece James can play as a right wing back, and he could be very crucial in regards to helping us gain possession of the ball in midfield, because Reece can do things like tucking more in field, moving more inside, as well as having the ability to run with the ball in field, spraying the ball to the opposite flank. Now, if we do use a 5-2-3, I've gone for Mason Mount playing alongside Willian. You know, it doesn't matter about who starts in my opinion. If we use this formation, I'm thinking about how we're going to play during the entire 90 minutes. I think if we started off using a formation like this, Lampard would feel more confident going to the second half, where Lampard would have a ton of tactical possibilities with his substitutions. And of course, if you're going to start against Ajax, you want to make sure that you're still in the game, your team shape is solid, and your pressing plan is on point. And to end with the final formation, I've gone for a 4-2-3-1. And yes, I know that I've taken a few risks, but hear me out for a second. Now against Ajax, they're a team that have great technical qualities, and I think maybe, just maybe, Lampard may feel like we might want to fight fire with fire. With a team like Ajax that force you into really difficult scenarios and areas, the more technical players you have on the field, the better chances you have of beating the press, keeping the ball, and fashioning chances for yourself. And of course, with Emerson and Reece, they have those technical qualities, they have the abilities to beat their man as well, and most importantly, they're press resistant and they're able to keep possession of the ball in key areas. With these two guys playing, it's only going to help the lives of Willian and Hudson-Odoi, because they'll have quality attacking support around them. And if this also happens, this could mean that Mason Mount won't have to sacrifice his game as much, and he can focus on playing with Tammy Abraham and helping support the press in the final third. Now we start with things and we move straight into the press conference, starting with Frank Lampard. And Lampard did confirm that Rudiger, Kante and Ross Barkley haven't travelled with the squad to Amsterdam. Continuing on, Lampard spoke about his great respect for Ajax and their policy for using youth. He praised Ajax's youth policy even more, talking about how they did well using youth last year in the Champions League. And Lampard also explained he also believes that he uses youth on merit. When he uses them, he's not using them because of his ideology, he's playing these guys because he really believes they're good enough. Now I'm going to continue on, and this is what I mean by Lampard feeling a bit confident. Lampard says that he's aware of the new threats that Ajax possess. And of course he does, because I can imagine that Lampard likes Ajax a lot. And to end things with Lampard, he was asked about Christian Pulisic fighting for a first team spot. Lampard said that he wants every player to fight for a spot. He mentioned wanting good performances, saying that Callum, Willian, Pedro give him that. And he ended things by saying that he's happy that Pulisic made that impact in that game against Newcastle. Now we move on to Tomori, and Tomori said that in tomorrow's game he's expecting it to be a very tight encounter. He said that it's been a good season for himself and he's gone better than he actually expected to do at the start of the season. Things moved on to very serious matters, and Tomori was asked about the racist incidents that happened with England versus Bulgaria. He was trying to focus on his football, and he said that this part of the game needs to be kicked out. Of course he's right, it's a disgrace. It's not good enough, and I think that serious action needs to be taken. I think maybe these nations being banned is the best thing to do. And of course, to end with the press conference, Tomori was talking about Willian, and he praised Willian for his experience he's added to the team, as well as his experience playing in this tournament already. Now let's move straight into the tactical segment, starting with Ajax. For the game tomorrow night, I'm assuming that Ajax are going to use a 4-2-3-1 formation. Now I say this because they've used the same formation against Lille and against Valencia. Ajax are a super high intensity attacking team that are known to like to create overloads down the opposition flanks, where they're known to create overloads down the opposition flanks. Ajax definitely are a team that like to impose their game on the opposition. Now with Ajax, the most dangerous thing about them is how fluid they are between the lines, and in the final third, players will regularly interchange positions every single time. It's constant non-stop movement, and this combination of fluid play and super aggressive attacking football makes Ajax a very dangerous team to come and play against. Now I'm going to break down how Ajax like to attack. Now let's look at both their fullbacks in Tagliafico and Dest. With Ajax, they like to push both their fullbacks down the field in the opposition third. Now once both Tagliafico and Dest get in the final third, they hold their positions out wide. Now once both fullbacks find their positions and hold them in the final third, this then allows guys like Ziyech and Neres to move more in field and play between the lines. Once Ajax find their players between the lines, it's the combinational play between Neres, Promes, Ziyech and Tadic in particular who become really important, because as they combine between the lines, they look to draw opposition teams near them, freeing up those space in those areas. Tadic in particular plays a very interesting role because he does act as a false nine. So this means that he's regularly looking to drop between the lines, and what he tends to do is he'll help create overloads down the flanks as well. So for example, if the ball's down the right hand side, Tadic is going to make a run more to the right hand side where he has the options to combine with Dest and Ziyech. Once that then happens, that means that Tagliafico and Neres become the options out wide, meaning that they're able to combine with each other, where they're possibly able to go 2v1 or 2v2 against opposition teams. Now the fluidity with Ajax isn't only in the final third, but it's also in their half as well. Now let's look at Martinez and Alvarez. Both players were signed this summer and they both play important roles in the team as well. Depending on what the players, you'll regularly see someone like a Martinez moving down. You'll regularly see a Martinez dropping within the defensive line of Ajax, forming a makeshift back three with Alvarez acting as the guy in the pivot. But most times you'll tend to see their midfield players covering the spaces left and behind Ajax's fullbacks. Now for this part, I'm going to talk about what we need to do to try and beat Ajax in tomorrow's game. Now based on some of the comments that Ten Hag made, I can imagine that Ajax will come and respect us. So that tells me that I'm not too sure if they'll be as super high or aggressive. I think they may tend to keep their shape more. I think they may tend to press our midfield players more instead, using a mid-block style system. And I think obviously playing this way is going to allow them to obviously still keep the fundamentals of their game. Now the reason why I feel like Ajax are going to play like this is because they want to disrupt the first phase of our game. And that means that they want to disrupt how we build up and play out from the back. And this explains my thinking behind why I've gone for Reece and Emerson, because I think if we do play like this, we're going to need technicians to help beat that press from Ajax. I think one way we'll have to, play through their press depends on how guys like Hudson-Odoi and Willian play, because they'll have to receive the ball in the half space to attract the attention of the Ajax players, and hopefully then we'll use the movement in behind from a Mason Mount or an Emerson to get in behind. Now against Ajax, we need to have a very strong counter-attacking plan to play through them. Now I explained before that with Ajax, they're a team that love to bomb forwards. They're a team that like to, with Ajax, they're a team that like to bomb forwards and commit a lot of men going forwards. But what tends to happen is there tends to be a lot of spaces left in behind, in areas over here and areas over here. So how we counter-attack down these areas is going to be crucial. Now Mason Mount could be a key player for the counter-attack, or whoever plays in the number 10 position, because we have two players that are able to really move well in behind and between the lines. But what I like about Mason is that he's very good at really keeping the attention of opposition players. A lot of times, for example, let's say there are two players stationed together. Let me use Martinez as an example. Mason Mount is the type of player that will find a position in between them, occupying the attention of both these players, which then frees up space for a Tammy Abraham or one of the inside forwards to make runs in behind. Once this happens, you'll see Mason Mount leave his position and make a late run deep on the opposite side of the flank, or playing close to the striker as well, and this is how we tend to have quite a lot of counter-attacking joy. I think the most effective way to create these counter-attacks is how we defend off the ball, and this is going to end some of the final points. So for me, I'm expecting us to use a 4-5-1 off the ball, with Willian and Hudson-Odoi moving back alongside the midfield lines, Mason Mount moving into that number 8 position down the left hand side here, and Tammy Abraham playing up front by himself. Now by playing like this, let's actually try and envision how Ajax would try to play. Now we know that Dest is going to be here, Tagliafico is going to be here, Tadic is going to be reverting and playing between the lines, and he is going to be a danger man, because I personally feel like we do struggle when it comes to occupying these areas. And of course, once he drops deep, you have guys like Promes, Zia, and maybe Neres moving between the lines, and as you guys can see, that's about 4 players in these areas. So naturally we're going to need to have men to help fight against that, and of course we need to have guys flooding the midfield. To be honest, I expect us to use a narrow midfield. I think it would make more sense to have the wingers tucking more in field so they can follow the wide attacking players of Ajax. So let's say Callum's here. This way guys like Cover, Jorginho and Mason Mount can be more stationary in the central areas, and I think this is where we can have fun on the counter-attack. Tammy Abraham's runs in behind, especially down the channels, is going to be very important, because we're going to need him to hold the ball in these areas. Once Tammy finds himself in the channels holding the ball, we need fast breaks from Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount and Willian as well, attacking the areas in behind those spaces. Once these guys can link up with Tammy Abraham, this is how we'll be able to create some attacks of our own. And I think on the transition, we have that advantage of pace. Guys like Hudson, Tammy, Mason and Willian, these guys have a lot of pace. And when you see Veltman and Blind, Blind is a very good technical player, but they don't have those same physical attributes. Against Ajax, they're a team that have a lot of great technical qualities, and I think for us, the more technical players we have, the more solutions we'll be able to find during the game. When I look at guys like Reece and Emerson, when they're found in areas where they're getting closed down and pressed, they still have the ability to keep the ball and fight their man. And for example, with Reece James, when he played against Lille, he was constantly able to use his great passing range from deep to regularly switch the play to the opposite flank. This, you guys, is what I think we need to do to have an opportunity against Ajax. This doesn't mean that I feel confident that we're guaranteed a win, but I think that if we play in this manner, if we play with patience as well, I do think that we're good enough to be able to get the win against Ajax. With how Lampard seems to be very excited to be playing against Ajax, I feel like we might surprise a lot of people and get the 3 points in Amsterdam. For that reason, I've gone for a 2-1 win against Ajax. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm NiniFC. This is Blue Lines TV. See you guys in a bit.